Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're going to take just a couple more minutes. We're just working on a couple of small tech issues here on our end. So please welcome. Let us know where you're coming from today. If you're coming back, let us know where you're coming from again. And I hope everyone's doing all right. I know we've had some great stuff happening in some states reopening, as well as some provinces looking more like there's light at the end of the tunnel. I hope everybody's well. Like I said, couple of minutes, let's settle on in here and we'll get you started here in a few minutes. I won't lie, everybody. I love seeing where everyone's coming from. I see Cindy from Bowmanville. I grew up in Coburg there, Cindy, so not far from you. Not from far at all. New York, excellent. Perth, Sudbury, Texas, Wisconsin. Hello, Toronto. I see you. Coming back. I see Sabrina coming back from Florida. Hello, hello. Halifax. Up here in Vaughan. Our everyone's of course probably glued right now with our premier making some announcements. It's about time. See if we're rolling anything forward here in Ontario. So we're, fingers crossed. This is going. Just 2 or 3 more minutes here and we'll get rolling, get everyone going. This has been a hot topic. Hot, especially with the potential of going back to work if you haven't already gone back, or even the thoughts of your centers really starting to look at reopening, what that's going to look like. I'm curious, let alone you. So let's dive in with some great people here today who've been doing some awesome work. Essential service, no matter where you are, it's whether you are working from home, whether your centers are open, if you're a nurse, police officer, ambulance driver, whoever you are, and you're doing essential service right now, if you're working in the restaurant industry and you're sending food to my place, I've probably ordered way too much. But at the end of the day, we're trying to make sure the economy still moves too. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you have any nurses in your lives, happy Nurse Week. I have at least 3 that I can count off the top of my head. You guys are very, very important. I see Jill, you're open May 11th. Sabrina opening June 1. I think a lot of people are looking more towards that June 1. We have had, of course, those few couple and open. So, all righty, I'm getting some news here. We're gonna, I think, start rolling the ball. Get you guys all settled in. So, like I said, welcome back. It's good to have you here. Let's dive in. I'm going to do some small intros just to get things rocking and rolling here. So just a couple of tips here as we go through. Any questions that come up, pop them through the chat box here, and Carmen will pick them up on her end and send them on to me. And then, of course, if you aren't part of our Slack group, please don't be shy. We'll send out links. If you're not a part of it, you can access everything through the post webinar email. And then this way you can join our Slack group if you want to add any additional questions there, if maybe you weren't quite sure if to ask or not. Anyways, the Slack group's amazing, huge resource. Please, 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 if you're not on it, join it. We want to help build up a community for you guys. So if you're joining us today, my name is Ria. I'm the ECE specialist here at Hi Mama. Welcome, like I said, and Carmen is working in the background here. She is our community coordinator, and she's phenomenal. I think we've finally gotten Jocelyn on. Jocelyn, are you with us? We are having some techie issues, but not the end of the world here. Anyways, we will keep going. I'm hoping that I know Jocelyn's joining us here. So if you do see somebody pop up, this is one of our guest speakers. We'll actually introduce in a couple of minutes. So just to make sure, please don't ever take this as financial legal advice. Every province and every state is doing things a little bit differently. So make sure that you're following their guidelines that they've been set out, and make sure that if you do need any advice, that you're seeking the proper authorities. Okay. At the end of the day, I did not go to school as a legal or financial advisor. So this is why I have hubby who does the accounting for me. At the end of the day, the big things we're going to be talking about, a couple of the cool things is, of course, over the next coming weeks, the centers are rolling out, vital piece to getting the economy moving, getting parents back to work, getting those kiddos back to centers, to schools, and of course, it's a huge challenge. This is a huge challenge. This is a huge undergoing, and what the idea of this post quarantine life will look like. Of course, some of the challenges that we face, and I still am grasping at the idea of what social distancing looks like with a 2-year-old, not to mention many 2-year-olds. Normalizing of masks. This has been a huge question as well, whether you're wearing them or not. Talking, of course, over some new policies with parents and figuring out what you need to put in place, and then just being on board and being there for not just your colleagues but your staff and your kids, your parents, everybody, grandparents. It's a huge piece. So at the end of the day, these are some of the things we're going to go through as well. But to dive a little bit more in, some of the other things we're going to talk about. So I touched base a little bit on social distancing in the classroom. We want to talk a little bit more about the challenges and the operations since quarantine has started. I know some centers were closed for 2 weeks and then reopened. Some are still closed. If you're anywhere here in Ontario, you're probably jam-packed closed, because that's where we are right now. So balancing, some people have been doing a little bit of essential care and then balancing remote learning. So we want to touch base on that a little bit. And then of course that support for the families, for the staff, the mental health touch about that will be is a big thing right now. And we were talking a lot about that last week in our mental health webinar. So let's talk a little bit more about new normal. The new, we don't know what's going to look like. We're all going to find out exactly what that looks like together. We're going to do some chatting with two amazing people. Both of them have been doing essential services, and both of them have been in two places specifically, but in two different kind of areas. And just as we do small intros, let's just bring you guys on just to say hi before we dive in. So Jocelyn and Danny, just come on up for a minute here. So Jocelyn's coming from Ottawa. He's doing some supervising there, and Danny is coming out from New York. Say hi. Hello. Excellent.
Hi.
We're gonna do some Q&A with you guys, and I think what we're gonna do is originally we were just gonna work it out and start up here with everyone's mics are working. So I just wanted to make sure we're all good. And I think what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna dive in with Jocelyn first. So Danny, I'll kick you off for now, and then we'll come back. Jocelyn, right. I'm so excited you're here. It's finally, we've been, just so everybody knows, Jocelyn and I have been doing back and back forth email. We had a small conversation about a week ago, but I'm super excited to finally have you on and meet you in sort of person. But how is everything going in Ottawa? And tell us a little bit more about Dr. Ernest.
Okay, so first of all, can you hear me well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Jocelyn Fillon. I'm the childcare supervisor at Dr. Ernest Couture. A little bit about me: I'm 48 years old. I'm married. I'm a father of two grown children of 22 years of 22 years of age and a 16-year-old son as well. I've been working in the field for over 22 years. Both I've been a teacher for 17 years, and now been a supervisor for 7. And I've been at Dr. Couture as a supervisor since 2017. Dr. Couture has been in place since 1972. And the name Dr. Couture is because it's named after a doctor, because that place used to be a doctor's office before turning into a childcare center. So that's why that's why there's a name Dr. Couture. It's named after a specific doctor. Yeah. And our center right now is operating a total of 34 children. So we have 2 programs, toddler and preschool. So we have 10 toddlers and 24 preschool.
Okay. Very
Yeah. So
interesting. And can I assume that all of those families are like all those children are attached to essential service workers?
no, so that's it. So that's it. Not for, so now that we're operating during the pandemic as essential service, so
Mhm.
now we're offering the care right now to like it's not to our regular families. It's to essential workers. Right
Yeah.
now, we're prioritized to doctors and nurses in hospital,
Okay.
and so it's completely new families that we're caring for
Oh,
during this time.
wow. Okay. That's super cool. So then, of course, here in Ontario, we've been in lockdown for it feels like since forever. But we've I guess 2 and a bit months now. How is your operations changed then since having to bring on these new families and everything kind of closing down in March?
Yeah, so in March, so we closed. So we did close for about 2 weeks,
Hmm.
but then all of a sudden when we plan like in about a 2 week period, we had to put everything together to try and reopen as emergency childcare. So there was lots to do. So the difference, of course, so right now is that our hours of operation have changed because
Okay.
our normal operations were we're 7:30 to 6 o'clock, but during this time we're offering care starting from 6:30, and we can go till 11:30 at night,
Oh, wow.
and as well we offer care 7 days a week.
Oh, and now is this to accommodate obviously with doctors and nurses' schedules?
Correct. It's yes, it's to accommodate the family's schedule. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So then this has been a huge thing, especially with Ontario looking at reopening. How have you been implementing social distancing in your classes, those two classes you have going open?
So in our, so yes, so in our classroom we've and of course like with that, like first of all to operate we had to acquire a new license,
Okay.
from a new license from the ministry, that reflected our change of hours of operation,
Hmm.
and the days as well, and we we're in constant communication as well with Ottawa Public Health, that because we had to establish a pandemic plan, and
Yes.
that pandemic plan had to be reviewed and approved by Ottawa Public Health and by the Ministry of Education as well. So regarding social distancing, uh, we've cut down the ratio in half. So, for example, usually the regular ratio for toddler was 1 to 5. Well, now it's 1 to 3. So in our
Yep.
toddler room, we only have one group of three with two teachers,
Hmm.
and for the preschool, instead of 1 to 8, it's 1 to 4. So we have two rooms operating a maximum of 4 children in each room, with
Okay.
two teachers per each room.
Wow.
So and for these so and as well for social distancing, what we do is that we assign children and the same teachers in the same room all day, so they don't mix. They do not mix with the other group.
Yep.
And as activities, we like we try to eliminate activities that are more like group
Group.
activities, more individual activities.
Hmm.
To encourage as much as possible that self distancing. We're doing more outdoor play because
Hmm.
outdoors there's a lot more space, so
Yes.
that helps with that.
Very good. Well, that's probably super helpful. And here, thinking about centers reopening in Ontario, to think about how they're going to do that, would you have done anything differently from what your original plan, like rollout plan was, or have you learned anything that maybe could have changed your thoughts on that?
No, pretty much. If I would have changed, change anything, pretty much no, because like you said, like this like this plan was already in place, like before opening. And,
Okay.
it was the consultation were always made back and forth constantly, with like I was mentioning, with Ottawa Public Health, and with the Ministry of Education, to ensure they can to ensure that the proper steps were taken to for sorry about that, to ensure that, yeah, to ensure that the self distancing was respected as the best possible way.
True, and staying as close to the regulations, well, doing the regulations, I should say, is a huge piece, and it's very important, especially as centers potentially do look at coming back. So, would you recommend for educators anything specific who are preparing potentially to be going back into the classroom anytime soon?
So preparing. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So what I would recommend is for sure, to prepare the employees, for sure, is really like communicate all the information, starting to communicate what are all the most that is the most stressful time for the employees, is actually returning to work, because they don't know what they're returning into,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have lockers that will be in place. So if we're able to communicate that information to the employees, then that will reassure them, and they will know what they're getting into. As well, for example, what we did to prepare our employees going back is we had a online training done, regarding health and safety. So we had a health and safety consultant join the meeting, as well as a public health nurse,
Mm-hmm.
to discuss all the precautions in place, and regarding the PPE,
Yes.
that would be in place, and answer all questions from all employees. As well, after we had a site orientation, so because we had employees from different location coming into work, so for them to come into this with all employees regarding our screening measures, so that they have an idea of the type of process that we're going to be going through.
Very cool. I'm glad that you took the time to communicate that with your staff, and that you guys took the time to do that training with them. Like, I think that's very important. And like you'd said, communication is key, especially in a time right now when we're still very unsure about what is happening. So we've had a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Jayan, and I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, asked, what are you doing with like typically shared resources in your classroom, like crayons, markers, those sorts of things right now?
So right now in our program, we are operating exactly like if we're in an outbreak mode. In our program, so for example, we've eliminated all sensory play.
Okay.
Those are excluded from our program. You can see we do have, we do offer we do offer some art activities, crayons, coloring, but but after a child has used has used equipment, it's being put aside right away for cleaning and disinfecting.
Okay. So they're
Is
not
it is that
sharing that resource.
no, we're not sure. Like before it gets reused again, we'll make sure that for sure that it's being that it's being disinfected, and
Yeah.
we have we have a housekeeper that has to be on site during the whole time that we are operating, and
Oh,
they
wow.
have yes, and we have upgraded their cleaning procedures to yeah, and we try and minimize exposures of like the quantity of exposure of equipment, and we just rotate them uh, more frequently during the day.
Got you. So we've had another question come up. So this is from Donna, and she wanted to know what percentage of children get turned away at check-in based on like wellness checks. So I know this has been a big thing in the United States about talking about doing checks as they arrive. Is that something you guys are doing? And are you turning any children away from the center during the day?
Yes. So, for example, yes, because right now every family at every day in the morning at arrival,
Mhm.
it can be with children, parents, and with staff as well. We have
Okay.
we have two staff that are screeners, and everyone that comes in every day, they are being asked questions about any type of symptoms. It can be a fever, cough, runny nose, sore throat, and then we ask if they've been in contact, with anybody that tested positive for COVID-19 or may have come in contact.
Mhm.
And also we ask all about the symptoms, and if any child, uh, staff, or parent uh, do not pass the screening, then they are turned away. They
Okay.
are turned away. They do not come to work. Like for staff members, they do not come to work. They have to go back home.
Mhm.
Um, and because yeah, for sure, for everyone's safety.
Yes.
And and it did happen that we've had staff members who have shown symptom, and right away the procedure is, if an employee has a symptom, then right away our procedure is we notify Ottawa Public Health, and then we
Yes.
follow their guidance. And if they say that the employee needs to be sent testing, then the employee goes and gets tested,
Mhm.
and then while waiting for the results, um, we follow the guidance of public health, and they decide if we're going to be closing or we can stay open. So
Got you.
we did have to have an employee with a symptom, and we had to close down for 2 days while waiting for the result. And then when it
Wow.
came back negative, then we were able to reopen right away. And so that's why we really encourage the staff members as well, to say, like, if you are sick, if you have a symptom of illness, do not come into work.
Mhm.
Stay at home. Advise us, and we will make arrangement to cover at work. And so
I'm
does that
Jocelyn.
and
Yeah. No, it totally does. It totally does. I'm very happy that you are working so closely with the local health network, and I'm sure that many centers are doing the same thing, but it's nice to hear from someone who is working right now that that is what you're doing, and that you're taking those prepared steps for your staff and your families, because that's super important right now to like keep the curve down. I want to ask you a couple more questions, then we're going to jump in with Danny. But so I know you said right now you have just essential service workers children. are you offering remote learning for your other families right now, or are you just primarily focused on the essential service children?
Yeah, right now, like for us, we are pretty much just focus on the essential service for the families that we're taking care right now. We do reach out. We do reach out occasionally to our regular families, to see how how they are doing, and to follow up, to follow up with them, because that's important as well, to see how they are doing.
Mhm.
Uh, we did have another center that was closed, and they kind of did like a small Zoom chat with their families, to
Mhm.
and they kind of did an activity with them through Zoom, to touch base and stuff like that. But the centers that are operating, we're pretty much focusing on focusing on the families that we have in the center, because it's although the ratios are lower, the it seems that the workload is more. It's more, so yeah, so it's very busy, because what happens is, because there's so many changes, so many updates that are happening, on a daily, on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
We've had to adjust our measures as we get along, and as we got a few cases, a few children or employees that had symptoms of illness, went for testing. Then we've had to make adjustment with our safety measures.
Yeah. Have you had any children test positive in your center or no?
No, no, we
Okay,
haven't
good.
had any. No, well, actually, so far we haven't had any of our children tested, because the need was not. We've
Okay.
had we've had a couple of staff members who needed to get tested, because of feeling unwell.
Hmm.
But what's important is that, because the families that we're offering care to are all like parents who are exposed to that environment in their
Yeah.
work field on every day. So for them, seeing us having those measures in place kind of reassure them,
Yeah.
right? Because then they see the measures that we have in place. So for them, they feel safe bringing their child in our environment, because they know that we're taking the proper steps, to ensure everyone's safety. And because, I've received some positive feedback from parents, whenever, even like when we had to shut down for 2 days.
Hmm.
I was expecting some parents, to have concerns, but no, it was the
Yes.
other way around. Like, they appreciated, the steps that we took to ensure everyone's safety.
I'm glad that you've gotten that feedback actually, because this has been something that we've been talking about not just here at Hi Mama, but around, the education space. That, parents are of course a little scared about bringing their kids back to a center, and I'm really happy to hear that you've been getting that positive feedback, that those measures that you guys took are actually there in place for them, and they're feeling that comfortable, especially being frontline workers. And I think
Yes.
that's super, super important. I have one last question for you, and then we're going to jump in here with Danny, but I'm going to bring you back for Q&A. But before we do you have like um, any vision for what the new normal will look like, and what everyone's sort of talking about as they start to reopen, like fully reopen?
Well, like you say, any vision, like, I'm sure, like until there's a vaccination actually being offered to everyone, like I said, that new normal, uh, we'll probably, of course, we're gonna be still in constant communication when we do reopen on the regular, normal operations. I'm sure some of the measures that we have now are probably going to stay in place. regarding. I know our cleaning procedures are going to be different from what they were. There probably is going to be a screening process in place. Like it's going to change the way we work,
For
because right
sure.
now, like I know in the past, when we were feeling a little bit sick, well, sometimes we'd stay at work, just to go to, but now that's going to change. Now it'll be if you're not feeling well, then it'll be more like stay at home. That mindset now will change completely to stay at home. If you're not feeling well, do not come into work. And so those are things that we're going to change. But I think we're going to be in constant communication as well with Ottawa Public Health, regarding our guidance document on how to proceed. And so um, so it's kind of hard to have like a clear vision right now of what it's going to be, because it's so right now it's everything is changing so rapidly that we have no idea right now when and how what's going to be in place once we do reopen normally.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge change to come, and so I think for the most part, yes, people are a little afraid and scared, but I think that at the end of the day, we, especially as educators who, we just kind of we roll with it and we learn to figure it out. I think we'll all figure out when the time comes. Jocelyn, it's been super, super amazing chatting with you. Don't obviously leave us. Just to pause it on out here, I'm going to bring Danny on and just ask her a couple questions. But I have a list like this long from Carmen for questions for you. So hang tight. We'll bring you back on there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pop in and bring Danny on up. And Danny, please join us, and we'll jump in here a little bit with you.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome back. So everybody, Danny is from New York. Woo! Shout out to New York. And I was telling Danny earlier.
Yeah.
I know, right? I was telling Danny, my brother-in-law lives and works in New York City, and he's here at home in Ontario, though, so working from home. But tell us, Danny, a little bit more. Tell us about Academic Explorers, about yourself. You're a founder, you're an owner. You've got a lot happening right there. Fill us in.
Okay. So I currently work as a childcare business consultant, and I run a website called childcaresites.com. And on there, I provide resources and services for childcare business owners across the country, specifically the US. I just learned that Hi Mama is in Canada. But yeah, so I do consulting for providers in the US, and some of those services are video courses, access to local childcare business experts, and one-on-one video consultations to walk people through the childcare business startup process for both centers and home daycare. But in addition to that, being a consultant to others, I am a childcare business owner myself. I started my first program, which was a group family daycare, back in my home in 2014. And then a few years later is when I opened Academic Explorers, which is located in Nassau County on Long Island in New York. And at Academic Explorers, we provide childcare for kids ages 6 weeks through 12 years old. So we start off young with the babies.
Wow.
We have 7 different classes in the program. Yeah. And also we do have a universal pre-K program contracted with our local school district. So in normal times prior to this crisis, we usually have a lot of different activities and extracurricular programs going on, but unfortunately, we've slowed down a lot of things due to this time.
Understandably as well. And of course, you guys have been going through, I'm sure, a similar lockdown as we have here and up in Ontario. But how has the operations then mainly changed for you guys? Because you are servicing essential workers' families, correct?
Yes, so we are. And so much has changed from day one when our county shut down the schools. I went into my childcare program the next day and held an emergency staff meeting with our teachers to immediately address their concerns. After hearing that the school districts, the K to 12 schools, were being mandated to close, but childcare programs were not, I was highly confused, and I knew my staff would be too. I knew some of them might have even been scared and upset, and that they had to keep that they had to keep working. So I wanted to go in and provide some clarity and let them know that we were going to be adapting and changing our procedures as needed to make sure that we keep everyone safe. From the very beginning, I was very open and honest and transparent about the facts that I knew, the possible future scenarios that could arise, and I gave my team the opportunity to give input as to what would make them feel the most comfortable and safe right now.
I like that you had them have that opportunity for the input. I think that's super valuable for you as a business person, as well as being on their level. So what were the things that they said would make them feel a little bit more comfortable? Like, are you guys wearing masks and gloves at all, or are you guys just taking it as it comes?
We are definitely wearing gloves and masks. Actually, back last month, our governor made it mandatory for all essential workers in New York to wear face coverings when they're interacting with people. And I think it might even be an executive order that just in general, if you're out in public, any person needs to wear a face covering. So that was something we implemented a month ago. So our teachers are wearing masks inside the classrooms every day. Our state has always also required us to do daily health checks for children, but now they're asking us to ask specific screening questions. One is, has the child been diagnosed with COVID-19? And the other is, are they experiencing any COVID-19 symptoms? And we also began implementing daily health checks for our staff, which is something that we didn't used to do, but that includes asking them those screening questions and also taking their temperatures to make sure they don't have a fever. And the same for children, we're taking their temperatures twice a day. But as they're arriving, we're checking their temperature before allowing them to enter the classroom space. And any person with a temperature higher than 100.3, because according to the CDC, 100.4 is a fever, and we don't accept them inside. So that's what we're doing.
Are you guys letting your parents come inside, or are you sort of collecting the children and bringing them in?
No, so we are actually fortunate enough to have a foyer area. So through it's like a small entryway. We used to allow parents that were dropping off to walk through the building to bring their child directly to their classrooms. But we stopped doing that pretty much from the beginning. We take care of that ourselves, and we have all of our exterior doors have a lock on them, and parents can't just open the doors. It's always been like that, but now rather than just recognizing them and buzzing them in, we have someone meeting them at the door to do the daily health check, have the parents sanitize their hand and then sign their children in, and then the staff person then brings the children to their classrooms. Gotcha. It's very procedural and a quick transaction. And while it's been very time consuming for our staff who's been doing what we call these curbside runs, I don't think our parents mind that much because it saves them time.
For sure. And knowing any educator, they learn to make it a very quick process. Just by nature, I feel like it's how I feel like how I typically ran. As soon as something new came up, it would you learn to make it faster somehow. So we have a question for Tamara. She says, "Hi, Danny. Are you wearing a special lab coat for your AE that you created specific for current situation, or did your staff wear these before, or maybe is it sweater?"
This is not a lab coat. It is a cardigan. It's just a regular cardigan. And no, we're not requiring our staff to wear lab coats, but I did our infant and toddler staffs, just as a best practice method, we did order something called scrub jackets. So it's like, I guess, the texture or the material of scrubs, and they throw it over their clothes. And we wanted to, it's not mandatory, but we wanted to take that extra step because with infants and toddlers, how do you socially distance? You have to pick them up. You have to change their diapers. You have to feed them. They will spit up on you. So we wanted to do what we can to make sure the teachers didn't have to worry about taking those germs home on their clothes. So we have multiple sets of scrub jackets that they can change into as soon as they come to work. We also change our shoes. There's so much that's changed. We don't allow any of our teachers or kids to walk into the classrooms with their outdoor shoes on. So we have kids and staff who now had to supply center-only shoes where they leave their shoes, a specific set of shoes in the classrooms, and we change into them upon arrival.
Okay. I love that you guys have taken that extra precaution, and especially, yes, like especially with those wee ones, it doesn't matter, they will spit up on you. The classroom I worked in, preschool classrooms, a little older, I used to wear a smock when we were just like painting and stuff. But it was just definitely something that has been happening. I've seen it as well happening in other centers from previous conversations. I want to jump forward a little bit. Have you guys been doing remote learning for any of your parents that are at home, or are you guys focused as well just on the essential need kiddos there?
We do have a remote learning program going on. We're calling it our virtual classroom experience. So when we saw our attendance drop by like 70% over pretty much overnight, we knew we had to think of something as quickly as possible. Of course, health and safety was our first priority, so we focused on developing those new procedures first. And then about 2 weeks later, we put together a virtual classroom program. So it's not that easy to balance, but after the first couple of weeks, we've gotten into the routine and it's manageable. And we do have 2 teachers working from home, and we gave those teachers the responsibility to plan and to host the virtual classroom experience.
No, that's great. I'm glad you tied it back into the fact that you do have some staff who are at home right now, and that's they're contributing. They're still working. That's still not an easy job. Even being at home, you'd think some people probably think it is. It's definitely not. Before we dive into some Q&A, do you have any vision for what the new normal will look like? Just kind of like the same question I'd actually asked Jocelyn. I'd like to get 2 perspectives on the situation here.
I just think that it's important to be flexible and understand that all the new procedures and policies that we're enforcing aren't necessarily going to be the most convenient. It might not be convenient, but what we want to be able to say as administrators of child care programs that we did the best that we could to protect the health and safety of our children and our staff. 2 months ago, I couldn't imagine telling my administrative team, that they need to check everyone's temperatures twice a day, change all the kids' shoes upon arrival, and wear masks. And tell my teachers that they have to wear masks all day, every day. And if I could see the future back then, I would think that the way that we're operating right now is impossible. But for most of us as providers, I think that being able to adapt to whatever best practice changes are in place is absolutely necessary to protect our kids, protect our staff, and protect our business in the long run.
For sure. I totally agree. One more question before we jump in. Where are the shoes being stored? Diane is asking this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of like, where are they being stored?
So, like I mentioned, we have a foyer area. We have, and it was always set up like this. It was normally our coffee station. We had like a Keurig machine, which we've done away with. We're not sharing coffee anymore. We don't have that out. We still have the table. It's been replaced with a huge bottle of hand sanitizer, and next to it is a couch. And so we put like one of those big storage bins that you would normally like put under a bed or in your garage or something. We put it under the couch. And we also have Amazon has reusable shoe bags that I guess you would use for traveling purposes. So we ordered a whole bunch of those reusable shoe bags, and when the kids come in to take their shoes off, they get their own bag that has their name on it. And the clean shoes that are stored in the center are cleaned every day after we take them off, and they're put in the bin under the couch. And then the dirty shoes that they're taking off when they enter, they're changing into the clean shoes and taking their bag with their dirty shoes and bringing it and putting it into their cubby. So it's sealed in a bag and then brought into the classroom.
Okay. Very smart. I'm really excited. We have some amazing questions, just so you know, coming from the audience, and I'm very excited. So let's jump into some Q&A. Jocelyn, come on back on here, and I'm going to start with you, Danny, just because I have you first here. But this is Sherry. So she's asking, do you choose your clients now? And she doesn't want to sound harsh or anything by any means. But centers have had a lot of behavior children and would be almost impossible to have those children following some of these guidelines. So any of the children with behavior or special needs in the classroom, maybe how are you potentially dealing with that? So kind of like two questions in one. I can come back if you need me to.
So mostly, sorry, again, the question was how we deal with behavioral issues?
Yeah, hold one sec. I'll get from Danny, and then if you want, but yes, how are you dealing with any behavioral issues, children in the class, and are you guys picking and choosing any of your clients?
So we're not picking and choosing our clients. I do know that is a big conversation piece for people for providers who did close their programs and now they're reopening and they're thinking about, well, who do I accept back? Since we never closed, we didn't have to make that choice. We just have parents that, like I said, we lost 70% of our attendance dropped overnight. So we naturally have that lower classroom size. But I'm glad to say we do not have that many kids with extreme behavioral issues right now. We do have some, but we have a management specialist on staff. So I know that every program is not fortunate enough to have that, but honestly, right before this crisis became a public health emergency, we did hire one because that was something we were looking to do anyway. So because we have her on our team, it is honestly a little bit easier to manage those challenging behaviors.
That's super fortunate for you guys. Jocelyn, how about you guys? How are you dealing with any of those children who do have behavioral or special needs?
Following is same thing. Like we have been very, very lucky. We have not had any behavioral issues to deal with. So we've been lucky, like because we were expecting, especially like new, like completely new children, especially on the first days or first couple of days, we were preparing and expecting, children may be crying or being very upset, but that was not the case. Like each children were entering the center and just jumping into the program right away. So we've been very, very lucky. But if in dealing with if teachers would have to deal with like with a behavioral issue and would have to attend to the child very, very closely, then they would do so. But then that's why we recommend we recommend all of our staff that do come in the center to bring at work multiple change of clothes, because if they are attending to the child's needs, then they need to have the opportunity after to go change into new and clean clothes. So
Awesome. I'm loving this. Just so you guys know, like the chat box, if you can see it, is going crazy right now. But actually, Jocelyn, I want to ask you this one because it was a super relevant to a couple of things you were saying there at the end. So Tasha and Marie were asking about sanitization, and I know you were saying a lot had changed around, especially the cleaning procedures and sanitization. So what are some of the new techniques you guys are doing? And by chance, are you guys actually removing any carpets in your center?
Yeah, so for sure, carpets have been removed from the center. So that was one of the things that we did. So we removed all the carpets, and then of course making sure, like ensuring that we had the proper disinfecting products, because because us during an outbreak procedure, we have to have a specific product in place, a stronger product, for cleaning and disinfecting, and for us to be operating. First of all, we had to make sure that we had to have all of the proper PPE in place, and all of the products as well. So, and we all know that the products and PPEs are not right now are not very easy to get. So those were a lot of work with different companies, to purchase, but we did, and we do have enough of it, and yeah, so we have so we've kind of changed, like our housekeeper schedule. We make sure that we have a housekeeper on site at opening until closing, because on our regular operations we only had a housekeeper a couple of hours during the day on site, but now we make sure we have one throughout the entire day, and they go and disinfect all the high touch points, the touch point, like the doorknobs, the light switch, all of the high points area are being disinfected like multiple times throughout the day, and and all of the equipment as well, like all the equipment that are being used are being put aside and disinfected right away, either by housekeeper or by staff members before reusing.
Awesome. So Jocelyn, just for the next question, if you can come a little closer to the microphone, I'm sorry. We're just having a bit of trouble hearing you. Maybe what I'll do actually here, Danny, this is actually a great one here. I want to adjust to you. It's a huge question right now, and then maybe Jocelyn, if you want to jump in here after with this one. So in regards to tuition, Jennifer is asking, have you guys by chance elevated any of your tuition costs because of the fact you're obviously operating at lower ratios? If so, like maybe how are your costs being covered right now? And especially for her, she's applied to the PPP, which is happening here in the States, but she hasn't received anything yet. So maybe if you could, Danny, touch base on a little bit of that.
Sure. So we did not elevate our tuition. Where my program is located in an area where many of our families are not doing so well. We have a lot of kids that live in shelters, and the majority of our income is from the county paying us with a subsidy for those children. So even if we wanted to elevate our tuition, many of our families could not afford it. We are fortunate that we did apply for the PPP back immediately when it became available, and we were funded within 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we did receive that funding, and we're using that funding for payroll costs, of course, utilities and rent as it was intended.
Mm-hmm.
So that does provide some relief. It provides a lot of relief, and we are still have the percentage of children that are still showing up and attending is only about 30% of our normal rate, but our county subsidy is of course still paying for those children to be there. So that's how we are managing the costs.
Got you. Jocelyn, what about you guys at your center? How are you guys handling some of the costs? As we know, ratios are at an all-time low. So
right now for the emergency care with the families, right now for the families that we're giving care right now, it's free for them.
Okay.
It's free. The cost is being covered by the province. So the province is covering the cost for all emergency childcare.
Yep.
So that there's no cost to those parents at this time. So to try and and support them throughout this pandemic.
Awesome. Okay. Before we wrap up, I want to say something from here at Hi Mama. We want to thank Danny, Jocelyn for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Your insight has sparked, of course, lots of questions. But on the other hand, you guys have given us some insight on what is actually really happening out there, how you guys feel is being owners and operators, and as well for your staff. The things that you guys are doing is phenomenal. Keep doing what you're doing. I thank you. Hi Mama thanks you. Any last remarks, any words of encouragement? Maybe we can start with you, Danny, here before we tie up for the day.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I just think it's really important that everyone understands that we have to be flexible, and we have to remember that in order to be successful, in order for our business to last beyond this crisis, there are some changes that might not necessarily be the most comfortable right now or the most convenient or easy, but it's important to just understand the facts surrounding the virus. Try not to overdose on news specifically, where a lot of people are sharing their opinions or like what they think might happen. Just watch whatever. Like, I watch the daily press conferences from our governor, and that's pretty much it. I don't watch the news at night. I just try to listen to the facts and see what's going on and plan about surrounding that.
Jocelyn, and you, any last encouraging words for the audience here? Oh, Jocelyn, we can't hear you. I think your mic might be off. Nope.
How about now?
Oh, yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. It was off. No, so for sure, like it was mentioned, flexibility is a big key, and communication, right? Because like I said, there's so many information that are being provided out there, like so many changes with the information on a weekly basis. So it's about informing everyone, our staff, our parents, on all of the updates, so that they feel informed and reassured as well. So I think that is the key right now, is keep the open communication and the follow up with everyone.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you for being here with us again today. And please stay safe. I'm going to bring Miss Carmen on here as we do. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, it's been a pleasure. Carmen's going to talk about certificates. Yo, everybody wants to know about this part. Carmen, take it away.
Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yes.
For certificates, you guys, there is a link in the chat. So if you guys click on it, it's just a Google form that you will need to fill out. This is also going to be emailed to you. So check your inbox right after this. We've made it so we send them out right after the session. And you have to search the words webinar certificate form. Then after filling out the form, it will be automatically generated and sent to you from a noreply@himama.com email with the title Your Hi Mama Webinar Certificate in a PDF format. So you can download that and print that. It's yours to keep. If you make any mistakes, you can refill out the form again. So we've not limited that. And if you have any questions at all, as always, Ria and I are yours. So shoot us an email. Our emails are really straightforward. It's just Carmen@himama and Ria@himama.com. So next week's session, we are actually going to focus on pandemic policies with the executive director of the Child Emergency Preparedness Institute for Childcare Centers. And we're going to have an exclusive Q&A with him. It's going to be same place, same time. And if you want to join the ECE Slack group to interact one-on-one, you can also click on the link in the chat there. I'll include it in our show notes tomorrow for noon. And thanks so much again, Danny and Jocelyn, for tuning in and sharing your knowledge with us today and for serving your communities. We love hanging out with you. And on that note, I'll let everyone go.
Thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.
Thanks for spending time with us.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you very much. You guys as well. And thank you very much.
Yes.
See you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.